This is the first part of Jesus' birth date. I wish you all very Merry Christmas. And we first go into some differences between Hebrew ways and our ways of today. So before we launch out to search Jesus' date of birth, the Magi visit, Jesus' crucifixion date, and the time of his resurrection, we will consider some factual differences between Hebrew ways of old and our ways of today. We will prove when Jesus was conceived and born, when he died and rose again. We will also show the time the Magi visited Jesus and the time of the massacre of the innocent in Bethlehem. This search will also give us clarity about the timeline of Jesus' ministry. We will establish what people saw as the star or stars of Bethlehem, and also peek into the future to understand more about the end time timeline. The Jewish, Hebrew ways of counting days, years, and months were vastly different from our ways. They had a biblical day. Evening and morning were one day, from sunset to sunset. That's in Genesis 1. Their days varied in length. We count a day from midnight to midnight. Our days are always 24 hours. They had 12 or 13 months in a year. Months were counted from one full moon to another, 29 or 30 days. This is the lunar calendar. Leap years were added to keep up with seasons, and they were a full month longer. Their years were 354, or with the leap month, 384 days long, in contrast to Gregorian years, G years. Our years are 365.25 days long. Their late daylight was from sunrise to sunset. The first hour started at sunrise and the last ended at sunset. This time was divided by 12 to establish the length of an hour for a specific day. Their hours were not 60 minutes long, but varied daily. If you count such an hour for midsummer at the North Pole, it would have been 120 G minutes long because there is no night. These facts change how we understand and interpret some scriptures. The first day of their week was our Sunday, and the last day was our Saturday, their Sunday or Sabbath. They counted births from conception, not from physical births like we do. Conception would be the moment two persons were united and became one in the child thus conceived. Some sources suggest that they counted births from the first heartbeat of the fetus. Conception started the first year of a child. They were in the first year. We are 1 year old when it's over, and then we turn 2 when the second year is over. We consider child to be 0 years at birth and 1 year old after a year from birth. Jesus was conceived in Elul, August. His physical birth would have been toward the end of May, Hebrew Sivan. A baby would start her second year on the first of the following Tishri after birth. regardless of the actual time of individual conception. If Jesus was conceived in 7 BC, he would have been in his 8th year on Tishri 1 AD, ending on Tishri 2nd AD. Another way they counted age was that the newborn was 1 year old at birth and would start her 2nd year the following Tishri 1. Tishri 1 was their legal year, and it was also their idea that it was the same date as the world was created. We will discover that Jesus' heart started beating on the 1st of Tishri in 7 BC. God had guided the entire nation to count their ages according to life entering into Jesus. The witness about Jesus being the Son of God is profound. Now, comparing Hebrew versus Gregorian ways to count time gives us a numerical difference of 1 to 2 years, sometimes 3. A challenge to establish specific times for events. Jewish spiritual year started on Nisan 1, and Tishri 1 was the beginning of their civil year. They counted time from creation. G year 2000 would equal Hebrew year, H year 5760. So 2033 would equal 5793. These differences become a jungle to wade through to discover facts about events buried in cultural differences, wars, and time. Such differences make room for errors for individuals struggling to work out the given time for an event. Roman officials trying to understand Jewish ways, or Jews struggling with how Romans understood time. To determine a specific time for an event, we will consider as many differences as we know of to the best of our knowledge and understanding. We will consider the Hebrew lunar calendar, H calendar, and the Gregorian solar one, G calendar. Further, all events need to coincide with the New Testament text and timeline. God had used constellations to fortify prophecies. Events pertaining to Jesus' life are presented with God's stellar calendar. This is why stars and constellations were created, to show Jesus' life and all he accomplished for us humans to help us. We will endeavor to decode these to the best of our understanding. Stellar messages do confirm specific events of Jesus' life. His life was written in the stars. This fact confirms him to be the Son of God. This search will prove who Jesus was. There will be no doubt. We will also gain profound understanding of what he accomplished for us. Now we go to sequence of events. It's a chain of events. The Bible gives us a sequence of events. We might not be able to verify each event from constellations and stars, but we will look for clues of events to endeavor to gain more clarity about Jesus' life and about specific events of his life. There are 18 points. I will read these for you. Point 1. Angel Gabriel appears to Zacharias and tells about Jesus' and John the Baptist's births. That's in Luke 1. It's in other Gospels as well. I used Luke here. 2. Elizabeth conceives and becomes pregnant, PG, with John the Baptist, JB. 3. Mary receives a message from Angel Gabriel in Elul that she will birth Jesus. Elizabeth is, at this point, in her 6th month. That means 5 months, 5 full months, plus some more time. Luke 1, 26 to 36. 4. Mary visits Elizabeth for 3 months, after which Elizabeth gives birth to JB. We can calculate the approximate date of JB's birth to be in November, August plus 3 months. 5. Mary gives birth to baby Jesus in Bethlehem, May, June. 9 months after Elul, which is August. May would be the month of Sivan approximately. 6. Wise men visit first Herod, then baby Jesus, and bring Jesus frankincense, myrrh, and gold. 7. Herod requires when the star appeared and orders the massacre of the innocent. Well, he didn't do it right away, but later. This suggests that the star had appeared less than 2 years prior to his asking. This means the wise men's visit was no later than 2 years after the star had appeared, or some 9 months after Jesus' birth. If Jesus was a toddler at the time of their visit, a Padawan. To clarify, Angel Gabriel visits Mary in Elul, 6th Hebrew month, H month. At this point, Elizabeth is 6 months PG. Elizabeth must have conceived around Nisan, the 1st Hebrew month, March-April timeline. The star had appeared before Elizabeth became PG, so that's 5 to 6 months plus some before Elul. That would be February or Adar. Mary gives birth 9 months after Elul, August to May, that's Elul to Sivan, that's 6 plus 9 months. 15 months after the star had appeared, that's 1 year, 3 months later. Elizabeth is about 6 months PG when Mary conceives, and Mary has then 9 months to complete her pregnancy. 2 years, 24 months, which was the time Herod ordered the massacre, like with 2 years and under. Minus the 15 months, it leaves us 9 months. This was also approximately the age Jesus was when the wise men visited. Herod did overextend to kill all infants 2 years and under, not just the year-old toddlers. Then Herod, when he had privately called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. Matthew 2:7. He did it privately. Then Herod, when he saw that he was mocked of the wise men, was exceeding wroth, and sent forth and slew all the children that were in Bethlehem and in all the coasts thereof, from 2 years old and under, according to the time which he had diligently inquired of the wise men. If Mary and Joseph were to secure Jesus's and JB's lives from the Herods, there were 7 Herods, these are the dragons, they would have had to present their ages at least 2 years younger than they were in reality to keep them safe. Such protection would have concealed Jesus's and JB's exact birth dates. Joseph and Mary then flee to Egypt, approximately 11 months to a year after Jesus' birth. Herod's slaughter of the innocent, this would be portrayed as Mars, the warning planet, entering Pisces, some 3 years after the Star of Bethlehem, or close to 2 years after Jesus' birth. Herod's death, there's an eclipse, 4, some say 1 BC, we will check. Joseph and Mary returned to Israel from Egypt, roughly 2 to 3 years from Jesus' birth. First to Judea, they settle in Nazareth, roughly 5 years from the first sign heralding his birth. Then 12.12, sorry. JB baptizes Jesus. 13. Jesus is tempted in the wilderness for 40 days. Jesus starts his ministry at the age of 30. The original Aramaic text does not say beginning to be, but about 30 years old. Now Yeshua, was about a son of 30 years, in other words, about 30 years old, and it was thought that he was Bar Yosef, the son of Joseph, Bar Heli, the son of Heli. Luke 3:23, and the KJV version. And Jesus himself began to be about 30 years of age, being, as was supposed, the son of Joseph, which was the son of Heli. Luke 3:23. There is no began to be in the original text. This means simply that Jesus was around 30 years of age. This expression about time is unspecific. We will discover the exact date when Jesus' ministry began. It will be surprisingly accurate and revealing. 15. JB's death before Jesus' crucifixion, but after his ministry had started. Jesus' crucifixion, earthquake, eclipse. 17. Jesus' resurrection, and 18. The day of Pentecost. Please join me now on this exciting journey to discover the time of Jesus' and JB's births and 18 events described in the Bible and written in stars. This study research will prove without a shadow of any doubt that Jesus was who he claimed to be, the Son of the Most High God of the universe. Every detail of his life having been written in the Bible and in the stars and constellations confirms the authenticity of his Godhead. The constellations and planets were given to us to understand God and Jesus. They were not given for soothsaying. Stars were placed in the sky to tell us who Jesus is and what he accomplished for mankind. His entire life is written in the stars. Now we consider 5 different aspects. 1, the Bible. The Bible is the sure word of God to mark the way. We use the King James Version and at times the Aramaic text, or any text we will find helpful. 2, stellar signs. We will consider stellar signs to increase understanding of God's messages to mankind. God probably has a stellar calendar, and it's so much, the whole universe, we don't have but a glimpse of it. So 3, logic and conclusion will help us approximate timelines, and scientific and physiological facts add to our understanding, such as a baby's birth period is 280 days. We use facts like this that are proven to be true. We will consider both solar and lunar calendars, and this will yield precision to events. So thank you. This was the first part. Merry Christmas. And next we will then go to Angel Gabriel's visit with Mary. But for now, this was part one and ends part one. Thank you.